wanted to get both of you on this one, if I could. Just Tyler Seguin, with everything he's been through with his health, and I think he's pretty much bionic at this point, but just thoughts on what he's been able to do, and especially what he was able to do last night for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for him to come back that early and, to be, that important in, not even just the series or that game, but the rest of the playoffs, he's been great for us. Basically, every game he's working and, doing his best. So for him to come back and, have a big game like that, that's huge for us. And, we're going to need him down the stretch to have a couple more of those.
Yeah, it's always great to see a guy come back from injury and perform like he is. Since I got here, he's always been in the gym, putting in the work, so it's nice to see it pay off for him.
Left side, front row, Leah.
Hey guys, for either of you, last night was not the first time in this playoff run that you've overcome a multi-goal deficit in the third and one in regulation. Where does that kind of sense of calm and composure come from for this group, and how have you seen that in both of your times here?
I think that comes from the last couple of runs we've been on. I think we're a veteran team with a lot of experience, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Is in the room we're talking and keeping positive, and even though we didn't maybe bring our best game in the first two periods, we know that if we play our game, that you never know. So I think there's just a lot of belief in our room.
Left side, third row.
Hey, Mason, just curious, what was the intensity and physicality level like yesterday compared to the first two rounds? It definitely looked like it went up a notch or two.
Yeah, for sure. They've got some big guys over there, and they like to throw the body around, and we do too. So it's going to be a competitive series, and that was just the start of it, I'm pretty sure.
In the back, Ryan.
Question for both of you two. When you look at what Dallas has done to kind of be this haven for Finns, what do you think it is about a place like this where guys come here, whether they're from Finland or wherever, they just sit here, they come here, and they're like, yo, we feel comfortable. So what do you think it is about this place where it's like Finnish players come here, and not only do they thrive, but they just seem like this is a place they enjoy being?
I think it helps that there's a number of them on our team, so they can hang out together, feel comfortable, speak their native language, and I think, just having that many of them here just helps them all feel that much more comfortable and perform at their best.
Right side, front row, Mike.
Hey, Cody. You went to the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals with this group last year. What's it like playing against them, and is it weird?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the start of last game felt really weird to be on the other side of things. Kind of settled in as the game went on, but definitely feels weird to play your former team.
Left side, second row, Robert.
Sort of on that same note, Cody, going down 3-1 against a team like that, does it help a little bit, especially in that second intermission, knowing a lot about that team and having been there, being able to kind of stay on message like you guys were talking about last night, that no, we're still in this? Yeah,
I think, like Mush touched on earlier, having a veteran group, going through the highs and lows in playoffs, you've kind of experienced it before. It's still in reach, and then the power play stepped up big time and got some goals for us. So we didn't play our best game for those first two periods, and we ended up with the result, but I think there's a lot to clean up for us.
Right side, fourth row.
Yeah, question for both of you guys. Just the importance of taking advantage of the opportunities on special teams when they're presented, especially when you have a 2-goal deficit entering the third. PK Subban last night kind of mentioned that it's an easy way to trim the deficit. Curious how you two view the power play opportunities and a chance to trim the deficit quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't get too many power plays in the playoffs, so especially when you get them in those key times, you got to really take advantage of them. It's almost like you got to be kind of a dog in those situations. You got to just get it done, kind of thing. So, luckily we did last night, and helped us win. But those, even the penalty kills, they're huge. You get a big penalty kill, you get a big power play goal. It changes the momentum of games, and luckily we got that last night.
Right side, second row, Mark.
Mason, you're 3 wins from the Stanley Cup final right now. Is it a challenge not to let your mind wander to that possibility and stay in the moment, or is it a good thing to let your mind go there?
No, my mind's definitely not there. Like I've said, we've been in this situation multiple times in the last couple of years, and I think the best way to go about it is just one game at a time, and just keep trying to get better and keep trying to learn their systems and be more comfortable playing against those guys. So, they're a great team, and we're gonna have to really dial it in.
Left side, third row.
Hey, Cody, I'm sure it's pretty nice to see Connor McDavid skating the direction that you want when you're on his side, but you're never going to stop a guy like that. But what's the key to slowing him down? Is it gap? Is it back pressure from forwards? What's the main thing to try to slow him down?
Yeah, you need a little bit of both of those things. Gap obviously is tough when he's coming that fast. We talked about it a little bit today, just limiting the turnovers, and he gets his speed in transition. So the more we can do that, the better we can try and manage his speed.
We'll take one more, second row on the left, Robert.
Mason, I'm just curious, looking at the power play, you guys are so deep in so many ways, and you look at what you might call a second power play unit. I don't even know if you guys think of it that way. You have Miro Heiskanen, Jason Robertson, Tyler Seguin, Mikael Granlund, and yourself on it. Do you even feel like there's a first unit and second unit right now, or when you're going this well, does it really feel like it could be either of you any night?
I just think it's almost like a next man up kind of thing. Both of our units are full of skill and definitely capable of getting the job done. So I think for the coaching staff just to have belief in both groups, and the players to have belief that both groups can get the job done. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Hey Pete, you get game 1 last night, take the lead. It's always significant to take a 1-0 lead in a series, but do you think as the playoffs get deeper, does it carry more weight to get that 1-0 lead?
That's a good question. I can only speak for our team. I think it does. I think when you look at the fact we've only had a 1-0 lead once in the last 8 or 9 series, and that was against Winnipeg. The importance of that, but also the importance of winning that first game at home, which we haven't done. The Winnipeg one was on the road, so I think we needed to kind of cross that hurdle at some point if we're going to keep advancing. So it's nice for our group to have done that and be in the spot we're in.
Right side, fourth row.
Pete, sort of a two-parter here. One, why are you guys so good on the power play at home especially? And two, how critical is that to trim those deficits in a short period of time when those opportunities present themselves?
Yeah. Well, I think special teams are critical in the playoffs, as we saw. I mean, we can, it might be oversimplifying it, but, Edmonton beat us out last year because their special teams were better than ours this time of year. So I think, we've advanced through the first 2 rounds. We've won the special teams battle in those 2 rounds. So it's a really important part. It's not everything, but it's a really important part. And, when you're feeling good about those parts of your game, you're never out of a game. Like we saw last night. So that's a good feeling to have as a team.
Left side, fourth row, Ryan.
Right.
Hey, of course, we've all talked about the Finns and the impact that they've had, but when you put them together, all 5 of them, what are those 5 able to do that maybe gives you an extra dimension, but also has it maybe surprised you sort of how quickly it's all worked? Because it's not like they've spent a whole year together. It's kind of come together pretty quickly.
Yeah, a little surprised, but you know what? They're all veteran guys. They obviously all speak the same language. They grew up in the same systems, and they played together at really high levels: World Championships, Olympics, World Juniors. What I like about them is they understand winning hockey. They understand how to create offense without with removing the risk from the game, and that's how you win gold medals internationally. It's also how you win in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So those guys have a high skill level, but they don't cheat or force offense. They let it come to them, and they make good decisions with the puck, winning hockey decisions with the puck. When it's not there, they don't force it. And that's what everybody's looking for out of their skill guys this time of year.
Left side, second row, Robert.
Pete, to start the third period, you have a power play or some of a power play left. I'm sure it's tempting when you have Mikko Rantanen out there to always put him out there, but you went with the second unit, and obviously Miro gets that goal. What went into that decision to put that group out there?
Yeah, well, you know what, that was, I think, Steve Spott and our coaching staff, because obviously everyone has an opinion on that. I think, one of the things we've done a good job is we've been, I don't want to say fearless, but, fearless in making hard decisions, at those times. I mean, our second power play unit was lights out against Winnipeg, won us a game against Winnipeg. So, you can't, I think this is the time of year where you've got to make tough decisions, not necessarily just go to the guys who everyone thinks you're supposed to go to. And, that unit deserved to be out there based on their body of work. But you're right, it's not an easy call to make, to have the guys sitting on the bench watching. Because it's not like you guys to second guess that if we didn't score, right?
Right side, third row, Sean.
Not sure there's a point looking back on it, but the way that you guys struggled towards the end of the season, is there anything about that particular stretch of hockey that challenged this team that has served you well?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think I think it was important for every group's different. So there's some groups that you want to roll into the playoffs playing great, feeling good about yourself. They need that. I think our group needed a little bit of a shock to the system at that point, of the year. We had a new group. We were kind of solidified in our playoff spot. We had a gauntlet, obviously, of opponents on the docket, knowing you would have to go through Colorado already in the first round, and then probably get Winnipeg in the second, and then Vegas or Edmonton in the third. So, I think, we needed a little bit of a wake-up call late in the season, I think, to our entire group, of that shock of, hey, we better have our details in place if we want to survive this. And so every group's different. Some groups maybe would have wilted under that. Some groups, don't need that type of shock. I think our group did. I think we were a little bit too comfortable in where we were and how things were going for us.
We'll take a couple more. Left side, third row.
Hey, Pete, at the end of that game, you have 20-year veteran Corey Perry and 21-year-old Liam Bichsel going at it. What's it like seeing that? And even more so, how impressed are you that he just doesn't seem to back down from anybody?
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we've been able to play him, and he's been a factor in the playoffs so far. Is he's got a recklessness to his game. He's not looking at numbers. I'm not even sure he knows, how old Corey Perry is. He's not picking his spots, and I think that physicality has been a really important part of why we're still sitting here today.
Right side, front row, Mike.
Hey, Pete. Matt Duchene lets us into his brain a lot. Even I think he does for you guys too. What has that process been like in the playoffs these last 2 years? Because he doesn't have that history, and he tells us about it. And he's even growing at 34 still.
Yeah. I think that's all part of maturing as a player. You take for granted that a second overall pick in the draft that's played in the league for 14 years has deep playoff experience, and he doesn't, and he's not alone in that. So I think it's really important that those guys have an open mind and an understanding of what it takes to win the deeper you go here. And it's great that he's still learning, and he's not stubborn enough to feel like he knows it, even though he hasn't lived it yet, or has only lived it one time. He's been open to accepting he's got to do some things differently in order to contribute.
Right side, fourth row.
Sort of a bigger picture question here for you. When you came here as a visitor in your coaching career, compared to now being the coach of this team for the last handful of years, are you surprised at the atmosphere at games and the passion Stars fans have for this team? Because maybe from the outside, you were not fully aware of just how much love there is for this team in the middle of Texas, in the middle of football country that exists.
Yeah. It's a great question. I think what I always recognized was the energy at American Airlines, even from the opposing bench, regardless of whether it was a mid-season game in November. You came into American Airlines, there was always an energy to the building and the crowd. And I always felt that even from the other bench. I don't think what I did appreciate was, how widespread the love and affection for the Dallas Stars is in the state of Texas and the city of Dallas. I mean, outside of the 20,000 people that are in that rink, I mean, it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, people are talking about the team, and I don't think I realized that. I think I kind of took for granted that it was a Cowboys, Mavericks town, but I don't think that's the case. I think the Stars are right there.
Two more, left side, front row, Leah.
Hey, Leo.
You mentioned the shock to the system at the end of the regular season. Is this a group that just thrives under pressure in those situations? Because it feels like when you've needed a response game or a response period, you've gotten it.
Yeah, we have, and you're right, and you're exactly right. It's not an easy group to coach that way, because why do we waiting to do this in order to respond? But they've stepped up and responded every time we've been in that spot, and their resiliency as a group, is probably the most admirable thing that I have about them.
Last one, right side, second row, Mark.
Pete, we talk a lot about the job Jim Nill has done building this team. How collaborative is that? How involved are you in that? And the Rantanen trade? Do you have a voice in things like that?
Yeah. You know what? I'm involved, but I mean, if you're bringing up does he need Pete DeBoer to tell him Rantanen's a good player? No. Actually, I think you guys could do that for him, right? Listen, he involves me in every piece of it. Am I heavily involved in the assets going each way and the value and the contracts and things like that? No, and I don't want to be. Where our conversations are more in depth are, what do we need in order to take the next step to win, to beat Colorado, to beat Winnipeg, to advance to a Stanley Cup final, to win a Stanley Cup, and the generalities of that. And then, him and his group dial in on that.